The movie starts and we see Christian, a geologist, arriving home. He finds his wife fixing pipes instead of cooking. Their home always had problems. Christian announced they were moving to a new home soon because he was transferred. Everyone was happy. Shortly after, Christian returned to his office to pack. Since it was his last day, he had lunch with his coworkers. After finishing, he was about to leave when he heard an alarm. He quickly checked the monitors. The groundwater level had suddenly dropped, but nothing else had happened. This drop made no sense, so he got worried. His boss told him not to worry because the mountains looked fine. There were no sensor readings, so everything seemed under control. Christian agreed and left, but on his way to the ferry, he remained worried. How could the water drop so low? While waiting for the ferry, Christian looked at the mountain and realized something. He ran back to the geology center. He told his coworker that the problem wasn't the sensors, but the cables. Christian explained that groundwater doesn't just vanish. It creates new paths and layers, creating friction. If the connection is lost, it clearly means that friction has broken the cables. When Christian and his coworker checked, they found the cables were indeed broken. They returned, and Christian was furious that they hadn't analyzed the situation properly. They could only issue a yellow warning signaling mild danger to avoid panic, but Christian felt the danger was severe. He went to find his children. They weren't at the ferry. They had returned to their mother's hotel. His son said he would return tomorrow. Christian took his daughter and left. Meanwhile, at the geology center, George noticed strange data showing the rocks were contracting. George told his boss. Alarmed, the boss decided to go into the mountain with a colleague to check the sensors. Christian, still distressed, called the center again to see what was happening. George explained and Christian panicked. He rushed back to check old files. He recalled a similar event from his research. The records showed that the mountains weren't spreading but pulling together. They were contracting, which is a sign of a tsunami. Before a collapse, the land pulls in this way. He called the center to warn his boss, but the boss was already inside the mountain. Just as they decided to leave, a sudden earthquake struck, shaking the rocks. Both of them were injured, and his colleague's foot got stuck in the rocks. During this dangerous time, they lost contact with the center. The water level dropped, which meant a tsunami was coming. Christian told his coworker to sound the alarm immediately and evacuate the town. Margaret activated the sirens. Everyone began evacuating in panic. Shortly after, as they tried to rescue their colleagues, the earthquake shattered a rock. It struck the boss's head, killing him instantly. Christian was stuck in traffic. He urged people to run uphill. He told them to run faster. Then he saw his neighbor stuck between cars. He told his daughter to run ahead while he helped her. At the hotel, Christian's wife, Ida, knocked on doors to alert guests. She realized her son was missing. Meanwhile, Christian freed his neighbor. He tried to help her up, but the tsunami was too close. There was nothing he could do. He pulled his neighbor into a car just as the water hit, knocking them unconscious. At the hotel, Ida found her son. She took him and a guest out, but the bus had already left. The tsunami was right there. They quickly ran to the hotel's emergency bunker. But the guest couldn't get in. Water rushed in, smashing the windows. Ida closed the bunker as the guest was swept away. She and her son sealed the door tightly, and then the lights went out. Later, Christian woke up. He saw his neighbor dead next to him. He was shocked and saddened. He dragged himself out of the car and climbed the hill. He saw survivors and looked for his daughter. When he found Julia, he hugged her tightly. He looked at his neighbor's husband silently, apologizing for not saving his wife. At the center, George received a call from the man trapped in the mountain. He said the boss was dead. The news shocked them. Meanwhile, Christian, worried about his family, went to the hotel. The bus hadn't come. He left his daughter with the neighbor. In the hotel basement, Ida held the door against the water. Ida told her son to hold it while she checked the vents. When she moved, water sprayed in. Her son panicked. Ida also got frustrated at his reaction during this crisis. A panicked man was also there. Unable to escape, he told Ida that if they didn't find a way out, they would die. Meanwhile, Christian approached the ruined hotel. When he reached the bus, he checked inside. There, he saw a colleague's body. He was sad, but his sadness turned to hope when he realized Aidan and his son weren't there. They might be alive. He went to the hotel where the basement was filling with water. The water rose, leaving little room to breathe. The other man panicked completely. Trying to stay afloat, he pushed Aidan's son down to support himself. When Aidan saw her son in trouble, she had to drown the man to save her son. We then see Christian searching the hotel. He couldn't find them. He ignored the basement because it was flooded. He didn't think anyone was there. As he was leaving, he spotted his son's bag. He feared they were dead and got angry. He banged on the pipes. Aidan and her son heard it. They knew someone was there. Aidan hoped it was Christian. To signal him, she banged hard on the vent pipe. Christian heard it. Trying to find the source, he banged back to signal he was there. Aidan and her son were happy, but water began pouring in from the vents. Christian dove in to rescue them, swimming through the water. Aidan told her son she would try to open the door. She dove under to open it. She didn't know Christian was also opening the same door. With combined effort, it opened. They were relieved to see each other. Christian told Aidan to swim up. "I'll get our son," he said. The son was happy to see his dad. Christian told him to come, but he was too scared to go underwater. Christian said they would die if they stayed. They had to take the risk and swim. While swimming, the son ran out of air. To save him, Christian gave him air from his own lungs. They kept swimming. Aidan pulled her son up but realized Christian wasn't there. In fact, he had ran out of air. Aidan risked her life diving back down to pull him out, but Christian was unconscious. Feared dead, they pressed his chest to force water out. They started CPR, giving him breaths and chest compressions. He didn't wake up, so they gave up. His son couldn't accept his father's death. Screaming in anger, he pumped his father's chest hard and gave him breath, desperate to save him. And finally, Christian opened his eyes. It was an emotional moment. They hugged each other. Then they headed to the hill where the survivors were. Julia was waiting there, extremely worried. Hearing the helicopter, she felt sad, thinking her family wasn't coming and only she would be rescued. She didn't want to leave. Her anxiety grew until she saw her family approaching. The sight brought her relief. She ran to her dad and Christian picked her up. The family was overjoyed because they were reunited. Despite the disaster, they survived together. They were rescued. The movie ends. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more exciting movie recaps.